think that was it. Can we do this? Is the thing still over here? Does it still work? Hey there, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it might be in your part of the world.
Greetings, my excellent friend.
It's so good to see you. My name is Jeff Fritz, and today is November 30th, 2023. We're going to write a little bit of code today. How you doing there, chat room? I was just getting ready to post a going live announcement here on Mastodon. Today we're refactoring some C# in the Tags app open source application. Join me at Twitch. Oh, I gotta put the HTTPS. It's funny that Mastodon needs the HTTPS in front. Twitch TV, C# Fritz, and HTTPS. YouTube.com. Of course, we're broadcasting on as well. There we go. Posted on the Mastodon. I need to get back into Mastodon again. Let me say hello to all the great folks that are here, hanging out in chat. Just a few getting us started here. Right over there. Look at this. All the notices from Restream and Stream Elements. But Null Sheffo is here. Hello. Robert Tables. Good to see you. Thindall. Welcome in. Corey Weathers. How you doing there? Just like Angela Bassett. Just like Angela Bassett. How you doing there, rookie programmer? Welcome. I've got a nice cup of coffee here. Get me started. I'm feeling good about today. How you doing there? Greetings to you in Costa Rica. That's right. Look at this. We got the Corey Hurricane Weathers, and we've got Costa Rican folks here. It's not a good mix. I've been talking to some folks, setting up and trying to get some collaborations together for December, January. I'll have more details and a bit of a schedule that we'll post over the next week or two. We'll share that on the Discord. I'll have posts here on the Twitch. If you're on YouTube, I don't really have anywhere. You can do posts on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. You're very excited about those collaborations? Oh yeah, we'll have some fun. Absolutely. Let me put on the Gunner Razor torpedoes here today. Much better. Gets me in the mood, gets me in the mindset of writing code. And it looks like the Restream bot isn't sending messages back and forth there between the two. The relay mode isn't posting back and forth. How you doing there, Amal? Hello, welcome in over there on YouTube. Hello. I gotta make sure I keep an eye on that because yeah, sometimes every now and again Restream drops that, and it dropped it last time for a bit of the stream as well. Let me get some music playing here in the background. Let me talk about some of the feedback that we got for Tags app yesterday, and we'll dive in and start writing some code and doing some refactoring and stuff. This is called Dopamine from the Stream Beats EDM playlist. This is music that's DMCA free. There you go. See, it says right there. DMCA free, royalty free. Listen to it wherever you'd like, except for on YouTube, where there's a troll that'll claim that they own it, even though they say that it's not theirs. And they will block you. Big thanks to Harris Heller and his team of creators for putting this music together that we're listening to today. I had 14 reports, copyright claim reports on Tuesday's video. Not bitter at all. No, not at all. Quite frankly, annoyed, because here's the thing. This copyright troll has also copyright claimed Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears, and they just paid him to make him go away. And he's insisted that his name appear in the credits of their songs, second from the top. And they're giving it to him just to make him go away. How you doing there, HCS531? Hello. Like, literally, you can look at this guy's Twitter account, his YouTube account. He's not a songwriter. He just claims that he owns these things. And to make him go away, people pay him. Like, no. You're feeding the troll and continuing this problem. Exactly. And it's not even I made this, it's I'm claiming copyright on behalf of these other folks over here. And that copyright claim, he has no right to be claiming because he's not an agent for those other folks. But people pay him and make him go away, which just feeds the problem. It is a terrible grift, and I will tell you that he's in Philadelphia, no less, which really burns me. Let me go to see if I can bring up and show you one of these. No, it won't let me. It won't let me click into it since the dispute has been filed. And if I go over, and he's not copyright striking my videos that I send over to Twitch. He's copyright striking my live videos. So this one. And I mean, no, I can't review the dispute. I can't even see the claim anymore. And the name of it. Yeah. But there are, I've literally now got hundreds of copyright claims on this YouTube account because of this troll, and I might as well post on Twitter these annoying claims after it. Yep, they do. They prey on him, just wanting it to go away. You're right, infected FPS. Yep. I'll say that it doesn't. Copyright is a little bit of a good thing because I have been able to invoke my copyright on producing this video that you're watching on folks who literally lift my entire video or parts of my video and put it into other content that they haven't been granted access to. So, yeah, he lives in Philadelphia. So, not that we advocate for violence, but we are the city of brotherly love, and we take care of ourselves. You step out of line against the family, you're going to get taken care of. You're going to be brought back in line. The problem is the implementation of copyright protection that YouTube has enabled. The example that I pushed back on YouTube and they shut up real quick on is, I really like Billy Joel. I think Piano Man's a swell song. You know what? I'm going to go and copyright claim on folks on behalf of Billy Joel because I like that song. I have no right to that song. Billy Joel, as an artist, knows me from nobody. I'm a guy with a bad hat and an ugly haircut on the internet. And why am I allowed to file a copyright claim for his song? I start to get that access when folks pay me for it, regardless of whether or not I do, because I write a nicely worded letter that was generated with artificial intelligence and send it off to a lawyer that says, hey, I'm filing a copyright claim because you used parts of this song. So, thank you, infected FPS. So anyways, Moving on. So I got some really cool feedback. Yesterday we did our post-event. Gosh, I always use the wrong term for this all the time. We did our post-event retrospective yesterday for .NET Conf. We got a couple of interesting bits of feedback, some interesting features to look at here. The big thing that I'm struggling with is Signal R in TagZap. It was not consistent. Not only did it disconnect at times, but and not reconnect, but it didn't respond to all of the commands that were being sent to it. Sure, I can definitely talk about that beer up. Sure. Let me grab that message. I'll talk about that briefly. And then we'll dive in here a little bit. Controller-based versus minimal APIs in .NET. Let me answer this question, then we'll head over and talk about some of the feedback we got. So I like these type of AMA questions. So what do I think about in how to use and when to use controller-based versus minimal APIs? Real simple. In my opinion, I want to use minimal APIs when I've already got a repository or I've already got a NuGet package. I've already got some other code somewhere else that does a thing. And I just want to delegate and say, well, go do that thing over there. Or if I can generate an API literally in one line of code. If I can tap into a NuGet package or a repository and just say with one line of code, receive this and go do the thing over there, I'm going to do minimal APIs. But I'm going to do minimal APIs in a way that I'm going to list all those APIs in my configuration in another file somewhere else so that I've literally got all the APIs in one place. And they're not cluttering up the configuration of the website, the startup in program. Yeah, simple. That's another good thing there. Yeah. So I'm going to use controller where I've got to do something a little bit more complex. It's something unique, and I want to be able to test it. The testability of minimal APIs turns into more of an integration test versus if I do something controller-based, I can unit test it very, very easily by just creating a new controller, execute that, watch the interactions happen. So, completely disagree, JitCypher. Completely disagree. No, I absolutely do want to see them in enterprise coding. Oh my goodness. I do want to see minimal APIs in enterprise coding because they're significantly faster than controller-based. There is a performance hit to using controller-based APIs. So by doing because a minimal API wires directly into the HTTP pipeline. So if you can move that code out somewhere else.
Nerd37
Hey PC Nerd, thank you so much for the resub.
19 months. Greetings and salutations, Sharp Brits and chat.
Greetings to you. Put these somewhere else, and you're gonna see significantly improved performance and less code to manage. I think we all like that. You can file copyright claims on behalf of someone else on YouTube. Yes, you can, Zerly Dev. Yep. When the API is just the endpoint, not the actual worker, minimal APIs is great. Totally agree, Thindall. Yep. So, right, this goes back to a little bit of software architecture discussion then. Your API endpoint is a user interface designed for a machine to interact with. So if we were to use MVC or MVVM or some other architecture pattern and put the business logic of that somewhere else, then moving it into a minimal API becomes trivial. So, minimal APIs and extension methods. Yep. So that's where I see. Now, look, if your group wants to say, you know what, we don't like minimal APIs, we're not going to support it, don't do it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a benefit, a performance benefit, a significant performance benefit that you will realize if you do use minimal APIs. So just want to make sure that that's clear, that there is a trade-off there. And it's a pretty good one, too. So, all right. Let me head over to the code, and more specifically, we'll head over to the GitHub. There's the GitHub. Let me set a project command here. Excuse me. Refactoring configuration for tags app. Source at learn. Let's just say learn more at, and we'll put a link to the GitHub here. Yeah, there we go. There's a project command, and I'm going to pin that on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link to the source code to tags app right at the top of chat. How you doing there, Babak? On YouTube, welcome. Yes, you can have both. You can have minimal APIs and you can have controller-based APIs in the same solution. Absolutely, in the same project. Yes, yes, yes. We're kind of doing a throwback to what was where I kind of made myself known. The one ASP.NET movement is happening again. So when you start a web project with .NET, you can build with minimal APIs. You can code directly against the HTTP pipeline if you'd like. You can build with MVC, with Razor pages, with SignalR, with API controllers, with Blazor in the 8 different ways that you can deploy Blazor now. Lots of options, and you can mix and match all of those appropriately for your solution that you need. Really, really good stuff. So, and I think it is. Is it 8? Because, right, you have 4 different deployment models, right? Server-side rendering, static site rendering, server-side, WebAssembly, auto, and then you have the three modes that you can render. Oh my goodness! So it's more, isn't it? It's crazy. Use extension methods extensively, says Boom Boom. There's so many domain-specific functionalities that are appropriate. Yeah.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Got the Xbox hat on. All business logic in the middleware. If you're building something like a microservice, yeah, why not? So, how is minimal API faster than traditional controller-based approach? Asks Manoj. I show you. I will show you. Let me go up on here. Let's say .NET new. Give me the list. We want an ASP.NET. Yeah, give me a web API. .NET new web API test API. Yeah. You'd rather use minimal APIs for microservices? Totally. Everything has its pros and cons. Totally. Absolutely right. So when you build with minimal APIs, you literally are wiring directly into the HTTP pipeline. So there's nothing to create. There's nothing, right? There is no controller middleware that's got to set up and detect and do all the routing and passing back and forth. It's literally wiring directly into the routing to go and make that happen. Versus if we were to go over here and .NET, not .NET, .NET, new MVC, test MVC. And right, versus in here where we have a controller that's doing MVC, right? It's got to wake up and create one of these, and then it needs to determine which action to run, and so on and so forth, and go through the whole back and forth process to handle and start and manage this object, and it's got to then dispose of this object when it's done. A lot more code that needs to be managed and run through. So when you do look at, I mean, that's wired directly in. So that's the difference. The ASP.NET SDK for Dapper hooks into minimal APIs now. Oh, that is cool. I didn't know that, Johan. So no, you weren't far off, Thindall. You're right. It's the amount of things that need to be instantiated. So to Manoj, who was asking that question, I right, when we just looking at the raw amount of code you have to manage, yes, there's more. But because there's more, the runtime needs to start and stop and manage the creation and lifetime of those things appropriately. How is DI set up with minimal APIs? Same way it is with other with the controllers. You set it up the same way. So if I jump back into the code here, right? So this is simple map get weather forecast, and it returns a bunch of things here. So if I put a right, let's start this .NET. Yeah, just .NET Watch. Yep, we can do that. We can do from service. Let me drop something in to show that real quick. Right, so there's the API running. It's because it's got the with open API stuff, and we've set up Swagger and Swagger UI. It knows how to load and get right into that. So if I set up some sort of a class down here, I don't know, Fritz utility, right? And if we set up a thing here, get date time, sure. Yep, do that, right? I can configure that up here. Builder services, add transient, Fritz utility, right? So I've registered it just like I would something else. And then if I want to receive an instance of that, I can right here. Now let's put our own map get here. App.mapget. Oh man. Hang on, did you see that? Did you see that? Map get. Let's get it now. I saw it there. There we go. Right? And sure, give it a name. Get current date time. Sure, that's good. With Open API. Generate all that stuff. Go over here. Yep, go ahead, restart it. And now it knows how to do that. Try it out. Execute. And there's the response. The current local time for me is 9:30 a.m. What happens when you start adding other middleware like authorization and auth, DI, and other things? Performance benefits, yeah, they're still visible then. Yeah. It's still... You're adding other things for the runtime to execute, but it's still not managing all of the controllers to get into and work with it. So it's there. Let's see. For larger projects for readability and making code manageable, would we not prefer MVC? That's your choice. It's your choice, right? So I can certainly take and create a thing here and call it myapis.cs, right? And I can take, right? Let's say public static class, my API extensions, right? Public static app is type web application, so let's return a web application. Right, map APIs, this web application app. Heck, let's also take I configuration, just to show that I can do a little bit more than this. Right, and now I've got sure. I'll bring this over here with me. What is it? No, shoot. Format document, Shift Alt F. Right, so I'll put these here. Come on now. Right, I could even move this out. And do this. And then when I'm done all this, I could say return, thank you. Now I've got all my APIs in one place. Go back over here and I can say map APIs, app.configuration. And now I've got all of my APIs in one place, and I can even break these up and move them around if I wanted to, right? Right? I can take this and sure, go ahead, fix formatting, do that first. But introduce local extract method, there it is. Right? Weather forecast API. Right, and now it's even cleaner and separated, and I can move things around. So, MVC might be something that you enjoy, you want to use. I'm not saying don't use it. But I am saying that some of the things that folks want to be able to do for readability, you can do with minimal APIs, and it looks and feels pretty good. So, mixing and matching minimal API and MVC, yeah, Manoj, I think it is a pretty good approach. The length of this minimal API is right on the outside of what I conceptually think is enough. It is too much for a minimal API. What I'd really prefer to do, right, is have some other thing over here. Go fetch weather reports for the next 5 days, right? And I'm going to set up a public, right, what is this returning? It's returning a weather forecast. Right, weather forecast array, get weather forecast, sure. And then have right, so it knows just turn that back to summaries. There you go. And why doesn't it like that? Where's weather forecast? Ah, that's better. So I have a weather repository, and instead of doing this, right, have that delegate over to the that repository object that might be doing something else elsewhere in the application. Can you register a minimal API endpoint and then deregister it to replace it with something else? No. OData isn't supported for minimal APIs. I can't speak towards OData. I haven't worked in OData in a very long time. Is there a better alternative for OData? OData in GraphQL, as much as folks will argue till they're blue in the face, they do the same thing. Is there a better alternative? Yeah. Folks will tell you GraphQL is what you should be using, but I will tell you that I believe GraphQL is a technology that's trying to work around database administrators by web developers. I don't like it for that reason. Database administrators are in your organization for a purpose. Let them do their thing. So, yeah, let's dive back into Tags app. So, we've had our chatter about minimal APIs. Let me get back over to the application. So, we had our retrospective. We had our retrospective yesterday. Hot chocolate is nice, Alfred. You're right. It is. Hot chocolate is a GraphQL implementation for .NET. All right, now Restream isn't getting a bunch of the commands, a bunch of the messages coming through from Twitch. Johan once made an OData query parser using a very, very long and complex regular expression. Yeah, that's dear Lord. But GraphQL is it's a technology that Meta put out there so that they could work around the database administrators. Yeah, your database will be on fire. So we got a bunch of feedback yesterday during the retrospective from folks who were using Tags app. Some of the things that we ran into, right? And I mentioned SignalR just was not 100% reliable during the event. And that's disappointing. We additionally had an issue where, because the site was being hosted inside a container, whenever a new container was deployed, everybody was logged out. That was frustrating. Building your business from the ground up using Hot Chocolate. Replacing an old web form CMS and updating an 18-year-old database schema. Good luck to you. I think there's ways to better centralize your database interactions, because when you do use GraphQL, see, I'm backing up to the GraphQL discussion again. When you do use GraphQL, you're giving up control and optimization possibilities of the database and handing them to your web developers who are consuming your APIs. And yes, there are ways to route and say, well, it only accesses these data and it accesses this data using these methods. Yes, there are ways to do that. But they're being done at the web layer, not at the database layer, where the folks who are really good at working with your database live. The folks that optimize your database live in the database. They don't live in building and working with your web components and web servers. So when we think about triaging and separating the division of labor, the folks that I want optimizing my database and optimizing and making sure that it runs really, really fast in my back-end services, I want them on the database and tuning the database operating system and the database management service and all that stuff that they're really good at. I don't want them writing code in JavaScript to run in a Node Express server or writing C# code that's going to be loaded into an ASP.NET application. So, Yes, when you have services that interact with more than one repository. Ugh. Yeah. So letting the database folks optimize and do that is going to end up giving you many, many benefits. Something that was suggested for TagsApp, when TagsApp is running an event, it'd be nice to be able to activate some sort of evaluations capability where viewers can click red, yellow, green evaluation and respond with, hey, here's what we thought of this session. Interesting. This to me is an extension and not a core piece of functionality. Not everybody's going to want to do this. So this being a feature to activate, and even then, how do we receive and how do we prompt and say, okay, the buttons are available for the next 2 minutes? This feels like a type of survey that we want to run, where folks can click a button quickly and interact. There's a lot more to go with this, but interesting bit of feedback. The other thing that came through was some sort of feedback button to say, hey, visuals don't look right. Audio's bad. There's a problem with the audio. And to be able to receive and have production folks be able to comprehend that information quickly, because where they're hearing it, where they're listening to it at the point of production, they might not be hearing what's actually being transmitted because they're not monitoring the final endpoint on YouTube, Facebook, etc. These two, I think, are stream-specific things that are surveys, are bits of feedback that are interesting extensions for us to add in. We'll look at these later. I have not put them on a milestone, but interesting bits of feedback. I should also put an issue here. SignalR stability during long sessions. During longer streams for .NET Conf, the SignalR reconnect feature was not 100% reliable. Need to investigate and tune interactions, and need to investigate. Just there we go. I'm going to list this as a bug. Sure, if somebody knows SignalR really well, you can take a shot at this, but I'm not going to put this on the must-do until January. Let me see here. Johan says, what if you extend this extension to evaluate the current session? Exactly. Yes. And this is going to be Blazor in the future. Yep, that's in milestone 4 to be done here before the end of December. Last thing that I want to put in here, when running inside a container, need to maintain session between restarts. So we ran into an issue where it's not a project. And we'll turn that on for milestone 5. Where as new versions were being deployed, if you were logged in, if you were interacting with TagsApp and a new version was deployed, boom, you had to address and log back in and reestablish your session. That was annoying. And there's got to be a way for us to handle that well. Keeping an eye on things here. Going to Blazor might fix it indirectly. It might. It might. So those were the little bits of feedback that we got. But we are working right now on this one, Milestone 4. And we're down here improving the out-of-the-box experience. And we're about to... it is using the cookie provider. So it should decode and rewrite that. Have the encryption key persisted? Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Right? Gosh, I didn't dig in and think about that too much further. You're right, Johan. If we have the encryption key persisted, save it into the database or something so that it can be fetched and reused. And we would need that anyway if we started to scale out horizontally. Yeah, you're onto something. Can you do me a favor and can you... Yeah. Can you do me a favor and drop some of those notes on that issue? I'll even share that link. So... Yeah, RestreamBot is copying messages into YouTube, but it's not copying messages from YouTube over to... Thanks, Johan. So, while I'm not working on this right now, if somebody picks it up, if you pick it up later, they can jump in and have at least some of our discussion to start from on pursuing this. Did I miss something? No. No, we're good. One second. All right. Hey, Wandy87, hello. So let me dive back into the other issue that we're working on. Here it is. The out-of-the-box experience for TagZap is what we're working on right now. So let me go back over here. I think the container is running still. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Where was I? I completely forget where I left off, so let's just launch the application and we'll pick up and run with this. Using the data protection provider with Azure Blob Storage, you use the same keys. Okay. I've got a bunch of null references there I got to clear up. So, there we go. Right, back into the first startup configuration, so... Let me tell it that you are working with this database right here. Submit. And it'll restart. It doesn't restart properly because I was .NET watching. Yeah. So if I did this with .NET run... Well, wait a sec. Just double check here. Trying to apply the migrations. Line 153, it's choking in add security context. Add security context. 153. Yeah, I've got a try catch there, and it should swallow it. No, the operation wasn't canceled. You fool! Try that again. Yep. Interesting. I'm going to run in... When I'm running in a container, when the container restarts, I'll run into the same issue where Oop, we lost the configuration. You need to go find it. But I can pass these two in as an environment variable when I'm running in the cloud, and we're all good. But when we're running as a stand-alone application, it's okay to kind of prompt for these. So I will just .NET run this time. And it should pick up and run. It's that initial dial-up, right? So, where's it? Go there. Right, so post in a connection string. And it's still canceling, and poof. In main at line 156. Yeah, it canceled. You were supposed to restart. This is okay. That's the line it's supposed to return, but it swallows it and continues down here. Operation was canceled. 156 is how I'm trying to restart the application. So when that is canceled, it shouldn't halt things. Have you ever used Arcus Azure? No, not. I've never heard of that before. What is this? .NET project templates to make Azure development easier. Interesting. When this cancels, it should have come back up. And we should have been restarting and continued here. How you doing there, Psi Gamma? Hello. Right? That should have restarted here. Let's see what happens. Run this with the debugger attached. I thought we had this working, and it jumped into this properly. Let's see. So I have a loop around the startup of the application, because after we get the configuration loaded, we're gonna try shutting it down so it reloads the configuration. So there it is. And is it restarting? Yes. So flip to that. Reset the cancellation token source. It should have reset. And then it's going to try and start it down here, and it's going to say, well, it's already canceled. Yeah. Yeah, the operation was already canceled. Right? I want this to reset. So, I mean, I could just say source equals new and just create a new one, right? Like, I feel like that's the sledgehammer approach, but it's also not terrible, right? You close, back over here, back into this. So now if I go back to .NET Watch, it should start, but it's this. Yes, The best feature is the shipped feature. So there's the connection string submit. Beautiful. And it loaded and ran properly. And yeah, the table already exists. I don't care. Right, I can even do a catch on that specific error. Postgres exception. Right. Where was I? Down in here. Right. Postgres exception. Is that right? There we go. Otherwise, yes, properly error out. Restart. Which should route me right back in. Right, and connection string, submit. And there we go. And just in case something else happens, I'm all right, but that's fine right there. Let's actually change that so it's not console right. Do I have a logger there? No. Be nice to have a logger. Not gonna lie. We don't really have a logger up front here, do we? All right. All right, I guess I'll live with it. So application starts, but I don't have any providers configured. I do have my user. There he is. Hello. But we need to start loading in providers and getting them running. And right now it doesn't know how to do this because we were dynamically loading these and we had a database connection that was going in, feeding and loading all of them. That's the next piece, is getting these loaded. Because my customization here, this works. Fritz's Wonder app. And it does save and remember those. We should probably make this a little bit friendlier to work with. Hey, Mythin. But blocked users, just this guy. I don't know who he is. Hey, Gabriel, welcome. Yeah, it's not sending... Restream's not sending the messages back and forth between the services. That's weird. I mean, here I am trying to use and show off both YouTube and Twitch. So, so I do have, yeah. I definitely want to do some more collaborations on stream. After I get on the other side of this, I want to bring in more folks to collaborate, provide feedback, do some pair coding, discussing, and folks have asked about using Aspire. Oh yeah, we're going to do a lot of Aspire with this. Oh yes, yes. If you watched .NET Conf, one of the key things that Glenn Condren and David Fowler said was they learned so much about Aspire as they started to use it. I want to push a little bit on the edges of Aspire with TagsApp so that they can get some of that feedback from us as we're building and working with this. Right, I look at TagsApp and what we're doing on stream here as some of the very best of community interaction that a large company could do to improve their product. And hearing from you out there to build and make this and get your feedback is a key part of this. You checked out the new Aspire SDK yesterday, says Mythin. Looks very promising. Yes. Wondering how you're supposed to deploy it to Azure? It's at the command line, AZ up. Boom. Done. Collaborate with Kevin Powell for some of the front-end CSS work. I'm not familiar with Kevin Powell. It isn't used on TagsApp yet, JSteph, but we're going to do that in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll do that live on stream. We're gonna first, after I finish this configuration update, we're gonna migrate chunks most of TagsApp to Blazor. I got to do the and thens. I got to do the and thens.
And then?
Will Aspirify, and I'm trying to make that a thing. Can we make that a thing to Aspirify up an application? Where I want to Aspirify the application, get it working so that we've got Redis caching, so that we've got our database configuration all defined with containers and microservices, so that we can deploy and stand up TagsApp quickly using Aspire.
And then?
We're going to get into some other building a local application, because it'll be Blazor. Drop it into Blazor Hybrid and deploy a native application so folks can run this natively and search for hashtags and do all the fun stuff there. Can't wait for a general release of Aspire in the spring. In the spring is what they're targeting. That was in the notes. So DGen1 runs a very good YouTube channel. Okay, cool. What's a tad wordy there, Oakleus? Sorry, I'm missing the context. .NET CLI did not recognize the workload ID, unfortunately. You need to be running, or you need to make sure you're running .NET 8. And it... what is it? .NET workloads. Yeah. List. Aspire, it's right there. So that's installed, right? I can do .NET workload search, Aspire. There it is. It's available out there. So .NET workload install Aspire. Yeah. That's fine. Go ahead, do that. So 123.557-.2. So. You've created a Blazor hybrid Windows Forms application, so happy you don't have to struggle with Windows Forms. Yes. Couldn't find it. I don't know what to tell you. That command worked for me right there. If I look at, I actually installed it through Visual Studio. So in Visual Studio, if you're on the preview branch, modify, go into ASP.NET. No, don't do that. And it is, where is it? .NET Aspire SDK. It's in the optional list of features there. So you can go into individual components, search for it there, and there it is. Click that, and it'll go and drop it in there. So that's where I installed it from, but the workload install should find it. Don Stefan, you really like .NET 8 only with Blazor? I need to get used to the new way. Totally agree. I'm getting used to it now. I spent a lot of time yesterday reviewing and teaching myself Blazor with .NET 8. I held off on it. I normally follow along and watch it through the summer. I held off on it because I knew there were a lot of changes. As that was being built and delivered. One second here. Let's see. All right. Okay. Moving on. You think VS installer's broke? I don't see dark mode. No. What is Aspire's role in continuous deployment, for example, through Azure DevOps? Not clear yet. They're not there yet, right? These are the feedback things that they were looking for. Aspire was a whole bunch of experiments before, and they said, hey, this makes sense to pull all this together. Let's do something with this. They don't have GitHub Actions made for it yet. They don't have DevOps built for it yet. These things aren't built yet. It's a preview, right? Project Ty was part of the experiment. You're right, Johan. Let me go back. These are really good discussions. I'm going to go back over to chat. Chat. So folks are saying this is something that I can't use yet. Well, right. It's preview. So it's the preview version of something. It isn't built. It isn't ready. It isn't ready for folks to dive in whole hog and say, I'm building my business around this yet. It's not. However, it's built for folks to give comment, give feedback, try it out, try deploying a test website and test application, and does it work for you? How does this feel? Because it's all just at the command line right now, and you could certainly do an AZ up from an Azure command line using GitHub Actions or using Azure DevOps. You could do that. That's not the type of integrated experience that we want you to have, right? We want something that's fully integrated, that's really easy and detects and patches those applications, those features automatically. That's what, right? That would be a really great solution. As Aspire is an opinionated .NET framework, they need to get the framework bits done, and then we can do the integration parts to make all of those other things light up. It's coming. You have 5 training days booked in and approved for next week. Nice. Thinking of investing them and getting to know Azure. What starting point would I recommend? I don't have a recommended starting point for Azure. There's all kinds of Azure training on Microsoft Learn. I would go there and find a topic to go after. But I'm sorry, I don't have a good starting point that I would point to for Azure development. Not recommended for production just yet. It's experimental. It's preview. So that's right. Even if it does work at the moment, it is going to change a lot. There's a lot of folks that are building and putting together components, Aspire modules that folks can use and deploy. They just got a module approved and merged in yesterday, the day before, to allow Aspire to hand off to Node modules. That's pretty good. All right. So, right, you've got microservices built with Node. You've got .NET things out there. You can mix and match them and let Aspire configure and deploy. If you put all your local other service connection strings in a config, you could still deploy the service projects on their own. Yes, you could. Use Aspire for local development and then normal for production. Sure. You didn't really notice any difference. Open an Aspire solution and run it to see what it's about. Yeah. Aspire is they've been working on it for a few years. It's early. That's why we've been saying it's a preview. What do you think? And we've gotten fantastic positive feedback on it. We like that. So much so that folks are jumping in and providing Aspire capabilities to deploy with Kubernetes. I mentioned Node. Folks are setting it up so that you can deploy to other cloud providers also. Fantastic. It is an evolution of Project Ty. So as these components are coming online, the Aspire team is now figuring out, okay, let's solidify some of these things and start getting integrations and reliability locked down. There's other features and things they're working on. You can check out more about what exactly they're doing on the GitHub repository, github.com/.net/aspire. And they are very happy with the response to it. So, can I give a brief about TagsApp? Check out the description. Just in the description just below, there's a link to TagsApp so you can see more about it. If to follow along, you can click in and get to the source code and see exactly what I'm building here live on stream and some of the things that we have planned for the milestones ahead. Hey, Yellow the Crow. Dukasoft is here as well. Mythin says, I'm curious about how Aspire is going to work with the whole CI/CD thing. As far as I can tell, it's a wraparound Kubernetes or something. No, it's not a wraparound Kubernetes. Kubernetes is one potential target for it. You could be deploying and activating Redis cache service and putting something into app service, as well as configuring a database provider as well, right? Aspire is a very opinionated deployment script that's written with C#. This is exactly what I've been kind of complaining about for the last year or two. All of our continuous integration and deployment scripts are written in YAML. And they're not... They're scripts, they're directions, they're definitions of things, but you can't write code to control it. You're literally trying to write script to do a deployment with a descriptive language. It'd be like writing a deployment script in CSV or in any file. Would you really want to do that? Like, those formats, those are document formats, right? Would you write a deployment script in XAML or HTML? No. You'd write it in a script, in a language that has control over it, that can do and recover and test and has error handling, these types of things. There is no error handling in YAML unless you write a YAML interpretation engine that does know how to do error handling, and you provide those error handling tags. At which point now you're turning YAML into more of a script. Yeah, linters for syntax formatting and checking, like, and even then, YAML, your syntax delimiters are invisible. They're invisible. So if we do it with C#, we get support from a compiler. We get analyzers that can tell us when we do things that are right or wrong. We get complete interactions with error handling and failover capabilities. So these are all good things that having an opinionated deployment tool is going to give us, that's built and based on a strong programming language. So yeah, Mythin, right? There's things there that we can do. Copilot can even help at that point. Sure. You like Azure Container Apps? Yeah, right. That's something else you can deploy to as well. The Azure Container Apps absolutely are a wrapper around Kubernetes. You have Azure deployment scripts in PowerShell scripts, thanks to AZ command line tool. Yeah, there you go. You can make spaces visible in various editors. Yes. You're now dependent on an editor to make that thing visible to you. Right? Like, and don't get me on tabs and spaces with YAML. Does Aspire allow for easier end-to-end testing? So, if you run an app with Aspire locally, you can easily point Playwright at it then and run your integration tests. Tamil. At some point we'll get back in. Maybe we'll schedule some Tamil sessions around April 1st. Yeah. Yeah, at some point we'll get back into that. Let me get over to the code. I want to get some stuff written here. I've only got about another 2 hours that we can write code together here today before I need to hustle off to another meeting. Yeah, let's dive in here a little bit. Is it okay to go to a work year-end function if the managers are going to? Yes, it's okay. Absolutely. All right, so the application is running. We got to start getting in and wiring up now the providers. So for those of you who aren't familiar from some of the previous work we've done, from some of the previous work that we've done on Tags app, and I'm keeping an eye on things over here. The Tags app is based on having a series of providers, and during .NET Conf, we ran Tags app and we had 4 providers that were live. We had a custom website plugin. We had, of course, Twitch chat. We had Twitter, and we had Mastodon. YouTube, for some reason, wasn't working. And that's another bit that we're going to kind of be able to do with some of our .NET 8 upgrades. We're going to wire up all the open telemetry to our providers so that we get some great logging and telemetry coming back from those providers. So we can build some cool dashboards in Prometheus and the like and see what's going on. Just tell them the meeting could have been an email and hang out here longer. Oh, Chaotic Monkey. While I wholeheartedly agree with you, right there, here's the deal. We have these .NET Town Hall events where everybody and anybody who works on .NET, we have together on the call and talk about what's happening, next steps, planning, and so on and so forth, and reflect on our successes, messages, and things that we've heard from customers that we want to celebrate, that we want to make sure everybody hears, so that maybe there's feedback there that we need to have a couple teams address. Well, I'm going to be speaking about .NET Conf during our call here today. So while we did send the email, you better believe I want to be there and applaud our successes about .NET Conf, and also to tell folks a little bit about Tags app and the good work that folks in this stream that are watching and have contributed, and your feedback that you've given. I want to let the .NET team know about this and the work that we've been doing together here. You made an app for the whole town hall concept when you were an intern. What did the app do, Johan? Okay, moving on. Okay, so it's not starting up and starting our providers. So the providers know how to connect to all those social media sources and bring them together for us so we can see it on one screen here. Let's go back into Program CS because I completely forget how it starts these things. Hey, Solution Explorer, go away. So where is it? Logging fields, yes. Somewhere here in cookie policy is, I think, what we were talking about earlier. Use the startup configuration middleware there, yes. The message and moderation hubs. Initializing security, good. Let's turn off these breakpoints. Don't need those anymore. I forget where the jump off is to configure the providers. Add the security context, yeah. Authorization for various pages. Forwarded headers, this is being done for the container. Let's add a configure the forwarded headers to allow container support, container hosting support. There we go. Application configuration. Hello, Zinth Code. Welcome. More like a social media format. Okay. Configure. Yeah, here. I think this is it. Tags app hosted services. So descriptive. I should really put some stuff around there. Add the SignalR notifier. Okay, so here it decides if we're doing Postgres or if we're doing in memory. So, right, here's where we need to start to pivot again. My site is using Postgres. My site is using WordPress, says JSteph. You're right. There was a point that I wanted to refactor my blog so it wasn't just using WordPress, but it was WordPress on top of Peach Pie, on top of .NET. While you're joking, you've actually, that is something that I've wanted to do. So, JSteph, I hear you, and it's something that at some point I do want to wrench on and get running out there. So, totally on board with that. All right. So this here, I want to take out configuration root because we're not using configuration root here. We're using iConfigure tags app. Right, and we're gonna break this thing. We're gonna break it good. So my database configure tags app fetches various configurations, right? And I feel like I should be able to fetch a bunch of these settings at once, so I'm not making quick little hits to the database. Even though they're really, really fast, you know? Let's see where we go here. Let's see where we go. I need this is the configuration for content. So we've got the SignalR notifier. No. Turn this convert to a notification pipeline. All right, next here. Get the content configuration bits. Yeah, sure. And I saved those. Where did I save them? It's in the first startup. In here. Right? So when you save, maybe these should be coming out as only C#. That's right. Al Tormenta. Hello. Going well. Right now I have these being saved as two separate configurations. Maybe this should be one item. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate you joining me. Yeah, maybe these should be one configuration item coming back. Yeah, Tamil. Yeah, right. What a trolly idea, but so good we need to get back to. You're welcome. I'm always happy to share a show code. That's what we do here. I appreciate that these are 4 separate values, but it feels weird having them as... Fine. Go back up here into this. Right. Oh, fine. I could make it a... No, I don't want to make it a record. I could make it a record. No. If I were to do this... Close. Public const string configuration key equals so it's not going to be these two. What did we call them over here? Security provider, security connection string. Come here. Like, why don't we just put these two on the same screen at the same time? Right? Like, come here. You're going down here. Do that. Right? Because then, hey. Yes. Come on. I tell you, Copilot is sometimes just freaking magic. Like, holy smokes. Yeah, it has been 3 years since Tamil. Tamil was the project we were working on before Clip Talk. Yeah. No, absolutely use Copilot. What's wrong with Copilot? Nothing wrong with Copilot. So let me move this out to its own file. Right, so now I can say var connection settings equals new connection settings. You gonna help me with this? Keep going. Yeah. Yep. So then I can set configuration and set this to connection settings, configuration key. And just save that one item. That makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, validate that Copilot is doing what it says it's supposed to be doing. Gonna get you. It's gonna get you a long way. So now up in here, right? I can say connection settings equals configure tags app, get configuration by ID, connection settings, and I'm going to get a connection settings configuration key. I need to await that, which then makes this an async task, like that, which also means that over here, ooh. Hang on. This needs to be awaited. And see, it goes and gets the provider and connection string there. We can change it. Right, so now I could say if connection settings security provider, yeah. And the connection string here is connection settings security connection string. Because it has all of it sitting right there. connection settings, security provider. And here, connection settings, security connection string. Nice. Continuing then. So where was it I was doing? I'm lost again. Here, this we need to await. And we have a configure. So this can be changed to... And it has access to all the things to configure that we'll use up here. So now, instead of saying if string is null or empty, do this. I can say if the provider is Postgres. Connection settings, content provider equals Postgres. And at some point I may want to switch statement this, but I'm okay with this for now. Add Postgres services, and we're going to need to pass on a configure tags app, which breaks that thing. So we're going to need to... We're going to need to do something with this. So I'm okay with that. Yes, yes. That works. Yeah. Okay. Coming back over to chat. How you doing there? B. Phylon asks, why not use JetBrains Rider? Because I work on the Visual Studio team. Right? I cannot type today. That's like asking Tim Cook, hey, why aren't you using PowerPoint for your keynote? Like, because he's the CEO of Apple, and PowerPoint's made by a competing company. So. Not that I'm comparing myself to Tim Cook, but I'm the similar type of question. Where did that connection settings get set end up? I right-clicked and it went away. Which connection settings? Help me out there, Jag. And welcome. Appreciate you joining us. Yeah. Hey, Bill Gates. How are you enjoying using Ubuntu? Yes, I did. I moved it to its own file. Yes. So there's a gesture in Visual Studio, and Karnak probably isn't running right now. But there's a gesture. You can do Control period, and you can there's a move to file option here that will allow you to move a class to its own file. Yeah. So, right, just an easy way to do file management and move things out to somewhere else. Yeah. So, and I can also do file renames from there, right? So it doesn't matter what file I'm in. I can just start writing a class. The thing that does something else, right? Public void, do the thing, right? And I can just control dot on this, move type to, and it gives me that class name as a file name, and it's showing me here's the modification it's going to make. It's going to delete from here. And it's gone. And I can then do a control T here and search for and find that file and jump right back into it. But I'm going to delete that. So, yeah. Similar features in VS Code. Visual Studio Code will do the same thing. You can start typing a class in any file, right? A class, any kind of closure object in C#. I believe you can also do this in JavaScript. Don't quote me on that because I'm not as I'm not as versed in using VS Code with JavaScript or TypeScript for that matter. But you type a class, an interface, an enum, go to the name of that object, control dot, and you'll be able to move it to another file. Or rename it so it matches the name of the file that it's currently in. Where was I? We were refactoring this John. So we're down into add Postgres services. And we're passing in now an iConfigure tags app. And just to make sure that we break this everywhere and I get some help from the compiler here showing me, hey, you got to grab a thing here. Got to start getting used to VS Code now that VS for Mac is ending. I think you're going to find VS Code is a big step up. I think I don't want to just add configure tags app. Let's also pass connection settings in there as well. Right? That's a connection settings object. Right, so now I don't need to say, well, go get the connection string. I can say connection settings dot content connection set string. Here, this is another bit where we need this pipeline for passing messages around. But Postgres messaging service gets configuration, gets all these things, including the collection of social media providers. And this is where it jumps off and starts doing the things here. Oof. Gosh, I remember writing this back in July. Okay. So when this thing starts up, it passes over to Azure Safety Moderation. So we're going to want a whole safety moderation configuration management thing here. Not terrible. Okay. You think VS for Mac is better IntelliSense than VS Code? So if you're using VS for Mac, you have a license for Visual Studio. C# Dev Kit uses the exact same. C# Dev Kit is an extension for Visual Studio Code. It uses the exact same language service provider that VS for Mac has. So what makes it a better experience? So, shoot, this is going to be pretty devastating. Yeah, do me a favor, check out DevKit. Install C# DevKit for for VS Code, and just about everybody has a license to it. Because you can, if you have a community license, you can use it. And everybody has a community license when you're tinkering and learning and you're a hobbyist, writing a little bit of code for yourself at home. Everybody pretty much has a license to VS, Visual Studio Community. Try it out. Let me know what you think. It is still in preview. They are still adding features to DevKit. It's evolving. It's going to evolve a little bit faster now. And now that it's in public. Let us know what you think. Boy. This one right here. And where's that coming from? Yeah. This is going to go away. This has got to go away so that we can consolidate. So, I don't see it here. So SQLite DB config, Postgres config, environment variables config, app settings config, JSON. But there's also a whole nother layer on top of this that I don't have for that I completely forgot. Providers configuration repository. And dear Lord, give me right. People from Ignite that want to chit chat. This one's going away too. Right. So if we get rid of nope. Take this over here, paste it somewhere out there. Select these two animation transitions. Right, so we've got all those things, and we're going to that. So we're getting rid of a bunch of those and putting everything in a configuration repository. Right now it's a database. We're going to give an option to be able to store that in Key Vault later, because it's just an implementation detail, because we're eventually also going to do this and spin up microservices. Why not use some tool for diagramming? Because I have PowerPoint right here. And quite frankly, I'm trying to improve my PowerPoint skills. So, like that way, in the future when I'm giving presentations at whatever event, and it won't be Microsoft Build or Microsoft Ignite or Microsoft Inspire, because I don't get invited to speak at those events. I get invited to produce. We'll be talking about Tags app and showing that off and how these things work together. So now I've got PowerPoint that I've already built here live on stream as I built the thing. It's funny like that. I'm literally hosting Developer Talk Radio 3-4 days a week for Microsoft. But we don't talk. We don't do these for Microsoft on Microsoft channels anymore. And now I've spilled. Oh, nice. Ant Malt 17, welcome. All right. This is... We're going to be gutting this thing like a fish. Let's get rid of some of these. This. Sure. Because this is where it's going to get ugly. Ugh, it's going to get ugly. Right? Like, yeah. Oh, I don't know what these things are. Yeah, I know. We're building it. Oh my. Right. But I'm not bitter. I'm going to draw a comparison that I think only folks in the States are going to get. I feel like the Bob Barker of Microsoft. And let me explain. You knew he was going to be on CBS. You knew he was going to be hosting The Price is Right every hour, every day of the week when you were out sick from school at 11 a.m. You knew The Price is Right and Bob Barker was going to be on every day. And he was such an anchor that you look forward to hosting that game show every day of the week. And you tuned in and it didn't matter what they were giving away. It didn't matter what prizes they were playing for. You loved watching Bob Barker in The Price is Right just because it was fun. Every now and again, once every year or 5, they would run a Price is Right at night, and for a while they had some other guy host it. Like, who is this? But then they got around to it, and they started hosting bigger shows at night, and they had Bob host it, and everybody that watched him during the day, for the reason of the fun that he brings to that game show, tuned into that at night. That's why sometimes I feel like the Bob Barker of Microsoft. You're only as bitter as your coffee, right? Maybe one day I should take over a conference and I have the power. I've said it before here on stream. If you see me speaking at an event, most likely it's because I'm running that event. So I think I can confirm. I have to finish some paperwork and things. I'll be in Europe in February. I need to double check. There's some documentation I need to follow up on. But I'll be in Europe in February. That was an invite that was sent to me. But just like other speakers and folks out there, I get declined from most conferences that I apply to speak at. And funny enough, I get declined for the products and things that I represent and I get paid to represent because they'd rather have somebody else talk about it. Like, all right, whatever. You saw me in Knoxville a couple of years ago? Yes. So that's one where I know the folks that run Codestock, that event. And I've established a relationship with them, and they know that I'm a Microsoft guy that's closer that can come down and speak at their event. So it is a great show. I really enjoy that. There's discussions for me to appear in Stockholm in February. Where's Thindal? Don't let him know that. So, let me get back in here. So what we might be able to do might be able to work around this. That's configured, so this is all taken care of, but it's this right here. Yeah, that's I have some documentation and things that I'm overdue getting them that will get that set up. I'm going to remove that from there. Jump back over to this thing. Remove this. Yeah, see, it reaches into the base here. See, and it's doing this thing and that. Right? I don't want to pass that. This thing, I want to get rid of this. Because I'm consolidating. It's passing in the collection of providers. I still need to go get where that's built out. Jump back here. So configuration, it doesn't know what that is. This is going away also. We'll figure this out in a second. So now back into the base service. There's where it's configuring them. So yeah, don't tell Thindal. Oh, heck. Now I want to... Hang on. This... I think I did this. Did I? Yeah. Okay. I think I filled out this form. I'm gonna fill this out anyway. I think that's it. All right. Now following up on this stuff right here, live on stream. There we go. All right. Yeah, we should be on for... Svetug in February. So... No! Don't tell Thindal! No. And certainly don't whisper the link to him. No, don't do that. All right, where was I? So we're getting configuration loaded into the base provider here, where it goes and is doing a bit of reflection to load these things up. And at some point, we probably should stop the reflection here. It's kind of difficult. So where's the constructor? So I don't have iConfiguration coming in anymore. iLogger's fine. The social media providers, yes. And the provider configuration repository go away. Let me see here. Don't tell Thindal. It's better that way. where was I? So we've gutted, making sure I'm looking at, and I didn't miss, just because the YouTube chat is not reliably coming into Restream right now. No, I think we're okay. So if we're not sending configuration in here, I'm going to have configuration for each of the providers coming. So let's do this. Equals configure TagZap factory. Current. Because it's already configured. And because this is, right, this is a static object, it's just being passed around. And should be okay to come through there, which means iConfiguration is now an iConfigure TagZap. Provider configuration repository, go away. You're not going to be a thing any longer. Stop it. Where are we here? So when we load the configuration providers, create instance, and we're passing in the provider configuration repository. No. As an iConfigure provider. Right, so if we look at these, so we've got these constructors that receive the provider configuration repository and hand off and work from there. I want to remove these. Right, so we have it for Blazot, for Mastodon, Twitch chat, Twitter, YouTube chat, YouTube, and our web test down there, as well as the Azure queue up here. Okay. XML for function documentation is interesting. How you doing there, Sweet Radish? Welcome. It's a thing that's been in .NET since the beginning, back in 2000, 2002. And to keep that backwards compatibility with the documentation systems, it's still there. And it works nicely. So why not keep using it? How you doing there, Wolfie Chan 30? Welcome. So what's the queue used for? It allows us to stand up custom websites that will take questions and answers and feed it into TagZap. So, right, the Azure queue. Come here. So this reads from an Azure queue. Go see if there's messages and add them into TagZap. On the other side of this, is if we go GitHub com, I can show you the source code. For the, hey, there's Javier. For the .NET Conf, no, wrong one. The .NET Conf website. It is. It's in the controller. Nope. Nope, nope. It's not in middleware. Where did we put it? Is it in home controller? No. No. I forget where it is. Because we're gonna pop it out of here and turn it into a NuGet package. Shoot. It was on home. There's the question form. How you doing there, sweet radish? Hello. No, not Thindal. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if you knew it. So here's the question form. And yeah, button submit. And that's getting included into index. Right? I love the way he does this where he conditionally lights up different features here. So the about this is the home page. What the heck? So is it in Hero and then down from there? I don't remember. So if it's pre-event or if it's an announcement mode, if it's live, there's the video player. Get.NET 8, ask your questions. And there was a ask questions on Twitter. That's it. It must be somewhere else. Because question form is being called on the home controller. Yeah, I don't see where it's posting back. I don't remember. But he's basically dropping it into a queue from over here. So what you do, you drink Red Bull and know things? What's the message schema stored in the queue? So that's something that we need to fix. Because it's a question input model that has an author name and some block of text. And then we turn it into a complete message that gets consumed by the website. So, but we'll do more with that later. In starting this, so we need to pass in, here's the configuration, because the base configuration provider takes in gets the configuration values. We can rebuild this. We can make it stronger, better, more generic. Think with me for a second here, friends. We have a configuration class for each one of these things. We'll take a look at Mastodon also, right? And it's a simple block for this one right now, based on HTTP client options. But we could receive this as a type of T on our where was that base configuration? Right? Base configuration provider. Where was this? Up here. If I change this to iConfigure tags app. Hang on. Where's this thing? Did I just... Oh, I just nuked it. Duh. Alright. And I could do that as a primary constructor, couldn't I? I don't know. So I have that there. Oh, this is so good. Oh, this is so good. I don't need to do map configuration values. I can do this. Sure. So now instead of doing all this nonsense here, right? I could do, and I don't need to do that. This is going to be so good. Watch this. And I don't need to pass a cancellation token either. Right, I could say get configuration by ID. I'm getting it of that T type, and the ID that I'm going to find is, let's call this providers. Provider name. What don't you like about that? I bet you it's around... oh, well, hang on. Yeah, just return that thing. And I bet you this is going to be... T needs to have the... new. That's fine. There we go. Does it give you wings? No. Yeah, we use the queue as a transport mechanism from a website somewhere else on the internet into Tags app. Yeah. So my thinking being, we should probably at some point turn that into a service bus so that all messages get put into the service bus. And then we can set up pipelines that will listen for those messages, interact with them, and then put them back on the bus. So, and that's how we'll have our pipeline. That's my initial thoughts. It could be completely wrong, though. So now, refactoring over here because, oh boy. So the base provider manager has these providers, okay. Load configuration providers. Load. I'm going to rename this social media providers. Yeah. So now when it creates an instance of iConfigure provider, right? And if we look at where'd the Azure one go? It still wants to receive that. But this now handles an iConfigure tags app. And I can change this now to Azure Queue configuration. Oh, it's so good. This thing doesn't exist anymore. And this just receives a provider name and just returns the configuration. So we don't have that. I don't need to pass that around. And because right, this has queue connection string and activated queue connection string, and we're doing this nonsense over here to make it work out. Yeah, right. This becomes much easier to work with. String empty. Sure. What was that? Yeah, I'm going to be speaking to Cleveland.net tonight. And in 2 weeks, I'll be speaking to Philly.net. And I'll actually be in Philly for that one. Not in Philly, but at the venue for that one, where I'm speaking remotely to Cleveland tonight. What kind of processing do I plan to do on them and later return them to the service bus? Ask Jay Steph. Moderation. Moderation, quite frankly. Some AI analysis to do automated moderation, some sentiment analysis to decorate those messages so that it's easier for humans to process. Vehicle license plates can carry a hexadecimal value. Boom, boom. I think you're onto something. You're right. They could. Put your favorite HTML color in hexadecimal on your license plate. Sure. Sure. All right. So I think I'm okay with that. And since I'm just returning it, do I need to add it as a singleton? I guess, right? So if I say var config equals that, right? Because that is of type, right? Come on, show me my type. Eat broke. It's going to be of type Azure Queue configuration. Probably because some of these other things don't exist anymore. It doesn't know what to do with it. So let's get rid of you. I love writing less code. I like that, Johan. That right? There's your HTML developer there. They've got their red car with a license plate of Fox. Foxtrot. 0000. Totally meta. At least your local license recognition cameras will know. Maybe. And then I'm adding the queue provider and returning those services to when I register this. Yeah, that works. That works. Now we've dramatically simplified the configuration of all of this, of the providers. But I've got to go through and finish doing all of them, and we're not passing in provider configuration repository here. We're passing in an iConfigure tags app, which is configuration, so I can do that. We need to get in and do this one yet. This is a to-do. Sure, let's look at these before I go through and touch each one of them. Social media providers is a new list. This is actually configuring and loading them. For each provider and configure providers, if the provider is I need configuration, we're going to call set configuration where is this being used? It's being used in YouTube chat. And we've got some rework to do there. So we're not going to pass in because underscore configuration is now an iConfigure tags app. So we should change to an iConfigure tags app. There it goes. That's good. Services add policies. So services is an iService collection. Where's that? Here. So this is adding the policies. Oh boy, here we go. You may have to quit your dev job. Is it okay to ask your manager for a reference? No, it's professional. When you have that discussion with your manager that, unfortunately, I have to depart. At that point, and leave on a good note. Don't be mean or nasty or anything. But talk to them and be kind. Be very upfront with them about why you're departing. And then, hey, would you mind writing a reference? I think is quite fair to do. There's some papers saying caffeine blocks the brain plasticity. Yeah, I can agree with that. This is receiving a configuration section name to get the policies. But we have, like, it's doing this whole validate the request thing, ensure that we have these values, and then go get the configuration by ID. But we know that our configuration for like Mastodon is of type HTTP client options. So what if we just make this right? Because where was it? Where was it? I did a find on add policies. It's here in base provider manager. Anywhere else? Why am I calling it twice? Shut up. We're in the base provider. Hang on, let's walk through this one. Yes, it does. You just showed me it was in YouTube chat. Oh, gosh. All right. Hang on. All right, let's do this one, I guess. Base configuration provider of type YouTube chat configuration, which is valid. Good. Client ID, client secret. But we've also got this to load. Where is this being referenced? It's so confusing. Why the heck did I do all this? Oh my gosh, why did I do this? Hey, McNets. Hello. Oh my gosh. All right, this is going to be an iConfigure tags app configured. Thank you. Really? Thank you. I need configuration now. Yeah. Right. Set configuration receives an iConfigure tags app. And we'll get those values. Jeez. Oh, yeah, let's... Oh. Thinking. This one's a little bit devious because there's two levels of configuration that need to be set. There's the application client ID and secret to connect to Google. And then there's the information about the channel that we're connecting to. And then there's the information about the broadcast. So it's actually 3 levels of configuration. Ugh. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. All right, let's do... And I can do just that. Hey there, Heavy F.
Heavy F just resubscribed for 24 months.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much. 24 months with us. 2 years. That's awesome. And I'll make a donation to the American Cancer Society. Exit now if we don't have a client ID. See, and it's right. This is attempting to load from right. This is being set from I thought there was somewhere else. Different. No, that's not being said anywhere. I think we might be able to get out of this one. Yeah, I think we can get out of this one. Oh, gosh. Right, where all is this referenced? Yeah, I don't think... I'm gonna nuke that. I'm going to nuke that in the name of simplification. We need to do this one. Yeah, you go away. I don't think we need that, which also means in here, we can get rid of this. Client ID, client secret. It's reaching into the Google configuration for those. But it's the Google configuration for security. Yeah, we can do this. So YouTube chat configuration has this security, and then there's the application configuration. This is being used in the actual provider to go get. So let's keep that separate. I can still keep these two separate. So this doesn't exist anymore. Get rid of this. Set configuration doesn't exist anymore. Get rid of that. But YouTube chat configuration needs to reach into security to pull the Google settings. So this is getting configuration by some ID for that provider. But I don't want to necessarily do that here. I want to load the configuration for Google login. So do I have access? Well, this. If we make this protected, right? I could say
developers.
Hey there, DCoop35. Welcome. don't want to copy values in twice. You know? No. If is null or empty, because it'll have it there, and that'll be my YouTube. Yeah. Okay, I guess that works. And we've simplified and removed another thing. But I need to go back into here for adding policies. I'm not going to take in a configuration section name. I'm going to look at an actual type here that's been requested to add policies for, which means the one in program goes away. Removing in favor of provider specific poly policy sounds like it should be like poly pocket or something. I do need to stop here in just a few minutes. In which case I don't need that. Sounds like a relationship config. A little bit. A little bit. Actually, where T is, where's the Mastodon one? HTTP client options. Yeah. Don't need these. Configuration isn't a thing here anymore. Think this through. Go back to here. Where was it add policies was being called that we needed to... Oh dear Lord. Don't dig into that. So that needs to be addressed. I've gone too far. Somebody rewind here. There. Configuring the providers. We need to add the policies. That's for the HTTP clients. It creates a policy registry. Handle transient, wait and retry. With the options that were identified. Where's the name of it? Right? It's not specifying the name of the policy here. It gets policy options, right? Circuit breaker retry. creates a registry, defines the retry, circuit breaker. Oh, all this stuff up here, we got add HTTP client, get HTTP client build. Good boy. Oh boy. The poly configuration here to allow it to retry and handle, right, that's being loaded up here. This call-in to add policies is trying to go get the policy options that are by default configured for retry and circuit breaker here. I think it seems strange that Azure AD B2C does not have groups built in, asks Jake. Does not have roles and groups. Roles and groups are just another, what's it called? They're, oh shoot. They're, stand by. No. Where's authorize? Write a role or a group. I know the term I'm thinking of here. Right, if I say add policy, foo, right? They're just another claim. That's the word I was thinking of. They're just another claim, right? A claim is just a string that is significant in the scope of security, right? So you either have that claim or you don't. So in the grand scheme of things, just create a claim called group and put whatever string you'd like in there. Boom, now you've got groups. It's just another claim. The fact that it doesn't have it out of the front, yeah, you want to do claim integration. So Azure Intra ID, yeah, right, all that. So no, I'm knee deep in here where it's adding these default policies. Now, you know what? I'm okay with this. I've broken it. Let's revert this. iService configuration extensions. This is in tags app communication. Let's revert this. Yeah, you broke. Source tags app app. No, not common. That one. Oh no, what else did I update? Oh no. Base configuration provider. Where you get it? Base provider manager. Oh my god. I just nuked what I was just working on. What I spent the last hour writing. I just overwrote. All of this stuff in here that we just rewrote. I just reverted. I think that sounds like a great time to stop. Son of a gun. Ugh. Oh. All right. Because I'm an idiot and not thinking straight now. Moving provider configuration to tags app config. Shoot. I just lost all that work. Well, guess what I'm going to be doing? So, yeah, no, I made a stupid mistake and wiped it. Oh, gosh. Loviz, thank you for the cheer. 500? Oh, that is very kind. We have all done something similar at some point, yeah. I'm going to push that up, and I know where I need to jump back in and pick back up. I'm not going to be able to get back into this for a couple days because I got to finish my prep and content for Dev Intersection. But for now, I've got to call it a stream. I've got to get ready for a meeting with the friends at Microsoft. But let me see who else is streaming on the big Twitch TV network that I can get you connected to. You know what? Let's go over to the Visual Studio stream. They're doing some AI-powered coding, it says here. Working with SQL and GPT functions. Our friend Burke Holland is over there, so let's go raid them on the Visual Studio channel. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. There's lots of great videos for you. You can find over here and over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a Blazor Puzzle podcast coming out tomorrow on Friday, and we're going to be recording one live in person next week at Dev Intersection. But I will be out of pocket while I'm there. I've got 3 sessions and 2 workshops that I'm teaching there. If you are in Orlando for Dev Intersection, I will be at the Microsoft meetup. Look for tickets, look for wristbands to meet up with the Microsoft team at Dev Intersection. It's going to be a fun evening. I believe it's Tuesday evening. You'll see us at that Tuesday or Monday evening. I think it's Tuesday evening. So, but otherwise, I'll be back next Thursday, I think is when we're going to be back here streaming. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I wish you good health and good coding. Take care.
Developers.